So, you're aiming for Harvard, Oxford, or MIT? Listen, if you're a high school student with your sights set on the world's absolute elite universities, I absolutely love that ambition. Good for you. But before you can actually walk those historic campuses, you know there's one massive critical gateway you've got to pass through, right? Proving your English proficiency. Let's dive right into the ultimate test that's standing between you and your dream school.
Welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're tuning in. Today, we aren't just talking about, merely passing a test. No way. We're talking about totally cracking the IELTS exam to snag that highly competitive 7.5 or higher band score. That number, that's the gold standard for elite university admissions. And by the end of our time together, you're going to have the exact strategies you need to completely conquer it. Here's our quick roadmap to victory. We're going to cover decoding the exam, elite university score requirements, calculating your band score, mastering writing and speaking, the one-skill retake, and finally, your 7.5 study plan. All right, let's get moving.
Section 1, decoding the IELTS exam. Because, well, before you can beat the test, you really have to understand exactly what it is you're up against. You know, what's truly staggering is just the sheer scale of this exam. The IELTS is accepted by over 12,500 institutions across more than 140 countries. It's massive. So whether you're aiming for the US, the UK, Canada, or Australia, this is basically your primary golden ticket. The test itself takes roughly 3 hours to get through, and it evaluates 4 core skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
But wait, there is a super crucial distinction that international students must make before even thinking about registering. Let's compare the two main tracks. There's the standard IELTS academic test, that's for your global university admissions, and then there's the IELTS UKVI. Now, listen closely to this part. The academic difficulty, the actual questions, the scoring, they are perfectly identical. The difference is entirely about administrative security. If you happen to need a UK pre-sessional or a foundation program before starting your actual degree, the UK Home Office strictly mandates that UKVI version. If you take the wrong one, your visa could actually get rejected, so definitely watch out for that.
Moving right along to Section 2, Elite University Score Requirements, because we need to know what exact numbers those elite admissions officers are actually hunting for.
The data perfectly illustrates the reality of elite admissions. Now, while a 6.0 or 6.5 might be your standard global benchmark, let's contrast the UK and US powerhouses. UK stalwarts like Cambridge and Oxford, they demand a flat 7.5 or higher. No exceptions. Meanwhile, top US institutions like MIT offer a slight range, starting at a 7.0, but Harvard stands completely firm at a 7.5. To put that into perspective, a 7.5 means you are officially classified as a very good user who is fully capable of handling really complex argumentation. And hey, that is the exact level we're aiming for. So, the absolutely crucial point here is planning out your timeline. Your hard-earned IELTS score is valid for exactly 2 years from the test date, not a day longer. You've got to map this backwards from your specific university application deadlines. And hey, if you're sitting there wondering how admissions teams view multiple test attempts in a single year, take a deep breath and don't stress. They will generally just consider your most recent score.
All right, Section 3, Calculating Your Band Score. Let's completely demystify the math here so you can use an IELTS band calculator during your practice runs without any of the usual anxiety.
The IELTS uses a 0 to 9 band scale, and the scores are reported in whole and half bands. Here's the exact formula. Step 1, you add your 4 section scores together. Step 2, divide that by 4. And Step 3, round to the nearest half band. Let's do a quick mock calculation. Say you get a 6.5 in listening and reading, a 5.0 in writing, and a 7.0 in speaking. Add all that up, you get 25. Divide 25 by 4, and you land at 6.25. Now, fortunately for us, the math actually works right in your favor here. Because of their specific rounding rules, that 6.25 actually rounds up to a 6.5 overall. Literally every quarter point matters in this game.
Moving on to Section 4, Mastering Writing and Speaking. These are the qualitative sections, the ones actually evaluated by real human examiners. And honestly, they are exactly where high-achieving students tend to get stuck. Getting through this isn't just about having good English. It requires some really strict time management and proven strategic frameworks. Let's talk about the massive weighting difference between the two writing tasks. This right here is the absolute golden rule of the writing section. You have 60 minutes total, but Task 2, which is your essay, accounts for roughly 66% of your final score. That's huge. You absolutely must allocate 40 minutes to Task 2 and only 20 minutes to Task 1.
Spending way too long just describing a graph in Task 1, that's a classic strategic error, and it will for sure cost you your 7.5.
Now let's talk about speaking. In Part 2, you have to talk entirely uninterrupted for 2 whole minutes. I know, it sounds super tough, but that's exactly where the PPF method comes in. Instead of just nervously listing facts, you're going to structure a single cohesive narrative across the past, present, and future. For example, if they ask you about a lost item, you explain the past context of actually losing it, then how it affects your present behavior, like maybe you keep a key bowl by the front door now, and finally predict some future adaptations. This strategy naturally forces you to use the simple past, present perfect, and future tenses, brilliantly showcasing your grammatical range to the examiner.
And for the slightly more abstract Part 3 of the speaking test, we use something called the Oreo Plus formula. That's opinion, reason, example, opinion restated. That part is pretty standard. But the plus at the end, that stands for expansion. This is where you zoom out and explore broader societal implications or even predict future trends. That expansion piece is exactly what demonstrates the high-level critical thinking that's absolutely necessary to push your score out of the 6.5 range and right into that 7.5 territory.
All right, Section 5, the one skill retake. Think of this as your ultimate safety net. I am honestly so excited to share this with you all because it's an incredible, relatively new feature of the exam. Number 60. You have exactly 60 days from your original test date to utilize this lifeline. Here's how it works. If you totally crush 3 sections but just miss the mark on one, say maybe your writing score drops a bit, you no longer have to sit for the entire 3-hour exam all over again. You can just retake that single, specific section. This is an absolute lifesaver. It takes an enormous amount of pressure right off your shoulders on test day. And finally, Section 6, your 7.5 study plan. The final battle plan. We've decoded the test, we know the exact scores we need, and we have our strategies locked in. Let's wrap this all up into something you can actually act on.
Here is a highly effective 8-week timeline you can follow. Week 1, take a diagnostic self-assessment to find out exactly where your weak spots are. Weeks 2 to 4, really zero in and practice those specific speaking and writing frameworks we just talked about, like PPF and OREO+. Now, weeks 5 to 7 are absolutely crucial. You want to use official Cambridge practice books, specifically volumes 14 through 18, to really understand the exact grading rubrics. And finally, week 8 is all about timed mock tests. You have got to build your mental stamina and learn to manage that strict 60-minute writing limit perfectly. Before we finish, I really want you to remember this quote from our research. Success on the IELTS exam is not simply a function of general English fluency. It requires a deep understanding of the test's psychometric structure. What does that actually mean for you? Well, it means you can be a totally fluent English speaker and still miss that 7.5 if you don't respect the test format, the strict time limits, and the very specific rubrics the examiners are using to grade you. You really have to learn how to play the game. And that brings us right to the end of our explainer. Your dream university, whether it's Harvard, Oxford, or MIT, is literally out there waiting for you. The IELTS, it's just a giant puzzle, and now you have all the pieces to solve it. So, I'm going to leave you with this. When will you take the first step toward your 7.5? Grab those practice books, set up your timeline, and go make it happen. You've got this.